Marilat and Dante Gomez. It's Will Peterson rocking with you as Broncos and Bills in the divisional round creeps closer and closer. James, let's begin there, my friend, because I got to give you credit. Had you on a week ago tonight, and on the way out, I asked you for predictions of how the divisional or the wild card round, was going to shake out and who ultimately would be coming to Denver. You called it. It is indeed the Buffalo Bills. As kickoff gets closer and closer, where are your initial thoughts on Broncos and Bills this weekend?
Unfortunately, Will, and look, typically if you have a good wild card weekend, you don't have a good divisional round. So let's hope that pattern, holds true, because at this point we're, 3 days away from the game, a little under 72 hours away from kickoff. I don't feel particularly good about it. And the reason being, I can't get the 31-7 game from last year in the playoffs out of my head. And I don't know, other than the addition of Hufanga at safety, I don't know what has changed significantly that will help the Broncos, A, get the Bills off the field, which they couldn't do last year. Buffalo had 42 minutes time of possession. And B, keep this Broncos on offense on the field, which, listen, they got the ball back between each of those Bills possessions and just couldn't do anything and couldn't burn any clock, couldn't flip the field, just couldn't get anything going after that first drive. I don't know what's changed all that much since then, so I don't know why I don't expect it to be 31-7, but I don't know why I should expect a different ultimate outcome. So I don't feel good at the moment, Will, but I'm hoping over the course of the show you and or Dante can talk me out of that.
Yeah, no, I'll try to talk you out of it. A couple things you said there that I want to give you a pushback on right here from the jump. One, that game was 31-7, but it was also 13-7 late in the third quarter when the Bills got a miracle touchdown on fourth down that I'm not even sure they actually caught the football. I think it would have been a different outcome if the Broncos get the ball back there down 6. And then 2, you said, well, I'm not sure who's there besides Hufanga. Well, their entire middle linebacking core is different. Alex Singleton is coming off the torn ACL last year. He, of course, didn't play against Buffalo. And then Dre Greenlaw gets back on the practice field today as well. I know it's been an up-and-down season for Dre, and we haven't seen him as much, but Broncos fans will forget about all that if he's great over the next 3 games and we ultimately have a parade. So those would be the 2 things I'd tell you. I think the game last year in Orchard Park was closer than the box score or the final score would indicate. And I also think that your middle linebackers being entirely different is actually really big when it comes to stopping James Cook, Josh Allen, and getting Buffalo off the field.
I think your first point is a fair one. It was a closer game than the final score would indicate, a little bit like the Houston-Pittsburgh game, right, on Monday night, 30-6. I think if you watch that game, it was 7-6 going into the fourth quarter. But that doesn't mean that Houston wasn't the much better team. It just, ultimately the final score sort of matched what we had watched for 3 quarters. But I get what you're saying. And look, the NFL, typically speaking, especially this time of year, it comes down to a handful of plays, right? If the Broncos get that call on the fourth down or they make a couple more plays on offense, who knows how that thing changes. And the fact that the game's in Denver, well, maybe you get those couple of plays, right? Maybe you get a false start on the left tackle because he can't hear the snap. Maybe you get, Josh Allen and they get a delay game because everybody can't get out of the huddle fast enough, or they have to burn a timeout, and that prevents them from getting a field goal at the end of the first half. You know what I'm saying? Like a couple of things that could go Denver's way now that they have the crowd on their side and didn't go their way last year. That could happen. I guess from the inside linebacker standpoint, while factually true, I don't know how beneficial it is. The fact of the matter is this Broncos defense has been worse since Alex Singleton returned. We all love the story, and nobody wants to say it, but he returned at Washington, and Marcus Mariota and company moved up and down the field on this Broncos defense, especially in the fourth quarter and overtime. And, they did nothing against Jacksonville. They played a third-string quarterback on Christmas night and played a backup quarterback against the Chargers. So, you know me, I'm not a huge Alex Singleton guy. We can all admire his toughness, and he's incredibly tough. But if you want somebody to make a tackle 8 yards downfield and set up 2nd and 2, he's your guy. And then Dre Greenlaw, sounds good on paper. But other than yelling at an official after the game, tell me the memorable moment he's had in orange and blue.
Didn't he have an interception at one point? Wasn't that him in Washington who had the pick? I mean, the fact I'm not even sure kind of makes your point.
It kind of makes the point, right?
Yeah.
Like he could have, but it doesn't jump out at either one of us. Hufanga is a player that it feels like there's 3 of them out on the field, right? Which is ultimately the sign of a great safety. It always felt that way with like Ed Reed or Honey Badger in his prime. You're like, oh my God, it's like there's multiple guys wearing that number because they seem to be everywhere. Hufunga's that guy, and that can make a difference because he's really good against the run, and he certainly helps. He enhances their secondary, so maybe he's enough. There are factors that lean in Denver's direction. I don't think Buffalo's as good as they were last year, plus they're banged up. But to me, it all comes down to, can Denver stop Buffalo's running game, which sounds funny given the fact that they have Josh Allen at quarterback, but I think it all comes down to, can they stop the running game, because they couldn't last year. And then can Denver run the football, because if Buffalo has a big Achilles heel, it's their inability to stop the run. So does Sean Payton write it on his play sheet in a little bit bigger and thicker Sharpie, run the ball, and does his team, do his running backs, reward him for doing so? I think that's the key to the game. I don't know that we've seen enough from Denver's defense to say, yeah, they're definitely going to be able to stop the run. And I don't know that we've seen enough from the Broncos offense to say, yeah, they're definitely going to be able to run the football. We can hope, and we can piece together things that, I'm not saying you're just grasping at straws here. I'm not. I think the points you made are all valid, but I think every point in Denver's favor can also have some whole shot in it, which is why I'm just nervous about Saturday.
Yeah, no, I'm nervous too. I'm not sitting here trying to tell anyone, Broncos are going to roll, nothing to see here. I definitely think it was the worst possible matchup, and we can pout that the bracket didn't break our way, but it didn't, and kickoffs in less than 72 hours like you hinted at. So it is going to be Buffalo. A couple of house cleaning notes. First of all, Greenlaw did have that pick against the Commanders. I did have that correct. It was early in the game. I want to say down the left sideline. You can probably picture the throw now with Mariota.
Yep.
And then 2.
It's my screensaver.
2, I point toward that Green Bay game where he did have 8 tackles, and it felt like he was flying all over the field. And I know the Broncos had a rough first half against the Packers, but that defense was excellent in the second half. It was certainly their biggest win of the season. So we've seen it, at least. I'm not. What I'm getting at is I'm not having to go back to, well, if we get San Francisco, Dre Greenlaw. It hasn't been consistent. No one's arguing that. But in flashes, Dre Greenlaw has looked pretty good in orange and blue this season.
No, and that's fair. That's fair. When he's been on the field, it's just been too few and far between, but there have been some moments. So I will give you that. Here's another thing that I think does help the Broncos and is a little bit of a benefit this year over last year. I think Buffalo's receiving core is worse. There's not a guy out there that scares you. And look, if there's ever a game where it's like, this is the benefit of having Pat Surtain, it's this one, right? Like, put him man on somebody, and don't worry about it with, helping him over the top or, bracketing or anything like that. And you should be able to sell out to stop the run and or bring 5 or 6 guys to pressure Josh Allen. There's no reason Denver should have to just rush 4, play 7 guys in zone coverage. They should be able to throw some exotic things at Buffalo's offensive line in the run game and the pass game, because there's nobody on that Buffalo receiving core that they shouldn't be able to put Pat Surtain on and say, okay, we don't have to worry about that guy. He's got him. Like, this is the game I think it's a luxury position. I think he's a great player, but I think you can get by with, above average cornerbacks if you have a great pass rush. But for all the people who tell me how valuable it is, and he takes away half the field, which is nonsense. It's not 1977 and you're either taking away Swan or Stallworth and nobody else is going out in a route. Teams run 5 guys out into routes. You're taking away a fifth of the field, but fine. Take away a fifth. That's 1 or 2 guys that now, instead of being in coverage, can either come after him to stop the run or come after the quarterback. I want to see that this Saturday too. I want to see why Pat Surtain is so valuable. That, to me, it's the game that should prove it.
Well, and Khalil Shakir for the Bills, he had 12 targets against Jacksonville. He had 12 catches. That's almost unheard of, that a guy gets targeted 12 times and he catches all 12 of them. Now, it was a lot of screens and stuff, so simple, shorter passes. He went for 82 yards. But after that, man, you're right. It was Brandon Cooks with 3 catches, and then it was Knox and Kincaid with 3 catches apiece. Do you do the old put PS2 on Dalton Kincaid? Hey, outside of Josh Allen and James Cook, he's their best playmaker downfield, so we should put our best defensive weapon on him. We obviously saw Surtain match up a little bit with Travis Kelce late on Christmas night. Do you just put PS2 on Kincaid from the jump and say, yeah, Khalil Shakir had a nice game against Jacksonville, but there's no way that guy's doing it 2 weeks in a row?
Well, and listen, if he's catching 12 balls for 80-some yards, you'll give that up all day. I mean, that's just that's a win for the Broncos defense. So maybe, because you're right, their best pass catchers, or their the biggest threat they have in terms of catching the ball, are their tight ends. But do you feel like the Broncos have solved that riddle? Now, Travis Kelce didn't do much against them, but Travis Kelce is not what he was 4 or 5 years ago, and he was killing the Broncos every time they faced him. I'm still not 100% convinced that at middle linebacker they have somebody that can cover tight ends, but maybe that turns into Hufanga's job. They've got some options now. But yeah, those two guys at tight end, there's something that VJ and company are going to have to deal with as well. You're right about that.
Yeah, and I would explore PS2. I just would. I think if you can take Kincaid out of this game, that could be very beneficial for the Broncos defense. All right, let's flip it to Josh Allen, because he's been the biggest story of the week. I like the way that our 9 News and 104.3 The Fan Insider Mike Kliss put it, that the Broncos are definitely the better team, but Josh Allen's clearly the best football player on the field. What do you make of this notion that it's Josh's turn, right? No Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar Jackson. He's going to hoist Lombardi. If he's not going to get it done this year, he's never going to get it done. I say the Broncos should cut in line. I'm not too worried about it being Josh's turn. But at the same time, it does feel like that narrative is gaining momentum, and sometimes the NFL results are indeed narrative-based.
Yeah, I mean, for those who believe in the script, which I don't, but you can look at Elway riding off into the sunset, and Ray Lewis riding off into the sunset, and Jerome Bettis and
Peyton Manning. Yeah.
There are plenty of examples of how it kind of feels that way, but the script certainly didn't go Aaron Rodgers' way on Monday night. And there's no way that the NFL wouldn't have preferred to have, Rodgers and the Steelers and that fan base coming off a playoff win for the first time in ages playing this week instead of the Texans. Watching that game was comical. It was like Troy Aikman and Joe Buck knew like 2 things about the Texans, and they just said it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You could tell they hadn't watched that team all year. And you and I have talked about it. A bunch of the guys on the station have talked about it. Really, since Denver went down there and got a big win, but they were benefited from the fact they got to play against Davis Mills for most of it. That Texans team is scary because of the way they can play defense. Would it shock me if the Josh Allen narrative turned out to be true and he's playing in the Super Bowl? No, because that's the story. That's the story out of the AFC that is going to be the best 2 weeks of talk leading up to the Super Bowl. Drake May and the Patriots, popular team, but everybody's still got Patriots fatigue. So they're popular in New England, but not anywhere else. And Drake May's got plenty of time. Bo Nix and the Broncos got a good following, but Bo Nix has plenty of time. And I can't imagine the league wants to have 4 talking points repeated over and over and over again about the Texans. And a team that plays defense like that isn't necessarily a sexy draw on TV. So there are plenty of things, if you're a conspiracy theorist, that point to this is the Bills' year. But I'm with you. Don't take that nonsense and go ahead and cut in line.
Yeah, no, I don't actually think the NFL's scripted. I don't think that the narratives drive the league, but I like you providing examples because that's how I feel, that it does seem every year that, that makes sense that they got the best story. I mean, you've got, Travis Kelce and the biggest pop superstar in the world on the field together after a Super Bowl just a couple of years ago. So, it does feel that way, but I hope the Broncos cut in line. I do think, though, that Allen is the ultimate X factor, James, that I told Zach this last night, and I maintain it. Can't you see, because the Broncos will play 2:30 on Saturday, there's a 6 p.m. game that night. Can't you see the montage coming into that 6 p.m. game of either Josh Allen battered and bruised and in the medical tent and limping off the field and Mile High going crazy? I can absolutely envision that montage. I can also envision the montage of Josh Allen spiking the football in the end zone and running off with a raised hand, raised fist, pumping to the Bills Mafia, the handful of them that are in Denver, and they're showing him going down the tunnel saying, Josh Allen runs on to the AFC title game. He is the X factor in this game, James, and curious, my 2 montages, which one you think is more likely to come true?
I'm with you. I could see both. I think Josh Allen spiking the football is more likely. I think you will see a lot. If the Broncos come after Josh Allen and beat him up, you'll see plenty of flags. And I don't think the league is scripted either. I do think there are a couple of penalties that they can call on every single play. One being offensive holding, two being defensive pass interference or holding. Either one. You can call it on every play. And they use those flags in the first 3 quarters of a game to keep it close and then kind of let it unfold from there. But part of the reason it feels like the story always happens, go back to the Ray Lewis example. Had the Broncos knocked off Baltimore, they probably go to the Super Bowl. And then what's the narrative? Peyton Manning in his first year back after neck surgery has this great year and the Broncos are going to the Super Bowl. The reason it always feels like there's a great narrative is because there are 6 great storylines left at this point.
Right.
And one of them's going to get through, right? Like something's going to have to happen. I mean, the Bears would be a great storyline. Shanahan piecing it all together and playing a Super Bowl in Santa Clara would be a great one. Like the league is just, it's so rich with storylines that it always kind of feels like that one's getting through. But yeah, I mean, you're right. It's sort of like your confetti test, right? Of can you picture Paxton Lynch standing on the podium hoisting the trophy and the confetti's coming down? No. Could you imagine Nathaniel Hackett? No. You can with Sean Payton and Bo Nix. That makes you feel better about this team. If I'm just kind of applying the which thing can I imagine more, what headline could I have imagined in the newspaper if there still were newspapers, or what montage coming into that Saturday night game? Yeah, Josh Allen triumphant on the road back-to-back weeks probably feels a little bit more likely. I'm certainly not rooting for it, but it just feels a tad more likely.
Yeah, and we'll make official picks here as the week gets closes and the game gets closer. All right, James, got to talk about Bo, because I think the notion is that, Sean's going to run the ball. The Bills' running defense stinks, and then everyone takes a step back and goes, Sean doesn't like to run the ball. Bo Nix led the NFL in passing attempts this year. It's his baby. It's the guy that's still alive from that elite quarterback class. Yeah, he's one of 3 with Drake May and Caleb Williams, but Bo also went off the board 6th to the Broncos when it comes to QBs, and Sean infamously baited the Vikings into thinking he wanted J.J. McCarthy. I mean, the validation from Sean Payton, say Drake May loses to the Texans, Caleb Williams loses to the Rams, and Bo's the last man standing come AFC title game time next Sunday. I mean, I think Sean's just going to take his victory laps over and over again, and the way he wants to take those victory laps is Bo going out there and maybe outplaying Josh Allen and having a huge game on Sunday, and Denver wins 31-28 because Bo threw 3 touchdowns and ran for another. I don't know if that's possible. I guess it is. We've seen Bo put up some big numbers this year. Put it this way, I don't know if that's their best path to victory. Unfortunately, to me, it feels like Sean Payton will showcase Bo Nix to the best of his abilities on Saturday, and we're just going to have to live with the result.
I would agree with you. I don't think – I mean, is there a chance they come out and run the ball 40 times? Sure, there's a chance. But it's the same thing when, Sean Payton got hired and Russell Wilson was still the quarterback and people were telling me, they're going to be a run-heavy offense. I'm like, no, they're not. You know who runs run-heavy offenses for the most part other than Kyle Shanahan? It's defensive-minded head coaches, right? It's head coaches that want to bring in an offensive coordinator because they like to win games 17-13. Vic Fangio, that's his dream game. An offensive-minded head coach, they don't stay at the office 100 hours a week and draw up run plays on the whiteboard. They're coming up with things that they think can open up their passing game. And you're right. And listen, this is going to sound like a criticism, and it's not. But Sean Payton goes out of his way to stack the deck in Bo Nix's favor. You mentioned the number of pass attempts. Like, that is truly just trying to set him up for success. You also see a lot, and this was more last year than this year, but if the Broncos are at the 3-yard line, how many times is it some well-designed crossing route to Nate Atkins who nobody covers and it's an easy touchdown throw and it's stat padding? I mean, the fact that the guy led the league in attempts is the ultimate stat padding. And so do I think there's some of that could be going on Saturday? Sure. And I don't think it's conscious. I really don't. I don't think he's consciously doing it. I just think it's subconscious and it's human nature that he wants to be right. We all want to be right. And I think that'll be going on. But I also just think he doesn't want to run the ball first. He doesn't. And I think he runs the ball simply to set up what he wants to do in his passing game. He runs the ball as much as he feels like he has to, which should be more than it is. I'll just believe it when I see it because we've got 3 years of watching Sean. He can write it on his play sheet as much as he wants. We've all seen it, and I don't think he's going to change anything on Saturday.
So another storyline this week that has emerged is the word underdog, right? And looking at different odds makers now, the lines are all over the place. Some have the Bills as slight favorites. Some have the Broncos as slight favorites. Regardless, it's a 6 seed versus a 1 seed. It's in Denver. And if this was any other year, any other draw, you would look for the 1 seed to be at least a 4.5, 5-point favorite, maybe even a touchdown favorite. Heck, the Seahawks are a touchdown favorite over the Niners in the exact same scenario in the NFC. Do you buy into the notion that the Broncos can use it as a rallying cry? I know every single player in the locker room was asked about it yesterday and today. I know Sean was asked about it. Bo, Cortland, Pat, all at the podium. To me, it's the oldest trick in the book, but it's still in the book because it works. Where do you check in on using that more behind closed doors than in public about the no one believes in us card?
Yeah, I think that is certainly something that can be used. I think it is used more this week to make sure you've got your players' full attention, right? Nobody's overlooking Buffalo, which I don't think you have to do anyway, considering the fact they all know, yeah, it's a 6 seed, but that's Josh Allen. Yeah, that's a 6 seed, but we know what happened last year. I don't think Sean Payton needed to do a lot to get his team's full attention, but it'll help. I think once the game is kicked off on Saturday, I don't think it really matters all that much. I don't think the Broncos are going to go out there and play harder because they're ticked off about it. But you know what? They may come running out of the locker room with a little bit more steam than they would have had otherwise. So, look, it doesn't hurt. It's a little bit like when Jacksonville came in here and wanted to play the smaller market card. That was just something Liam Cohen used all week to keep his team's attention, get them dialed in, get them focused, and have them ready to play, and it provided good results. So is it going to be a huge factor? I don't think so, but is it a little bit of something Sean Payton can use? Sure, and I hope he is, because you got to use everything you can this time of year.
Yeah, no, you definitely do, and I'm fine with him playing it, and I think he probably has played it, and you could tell some of the players yesterday, they all said the right things. No one made some insane sort of headline, but I think it bothered them a little bit. And then Andrew Mason talked to Mike McGlinchey, and Mike told him about the notion that the Broncos maybe, just maybe, were a little happy to be there last year as a 7 seed, and this year they're the 1 seed, and they have different expectations. And I think the fan base feels the same way, that, last year was gravy. We were just hungry for our first taste of the postseason since they had won the Super Bowl. This year, there's no gravy, man. I mean, if you lose on Saturday, it is a colossal disappointment. There's no other way to slice it. To be the 1 seed and go one and done would be such a missed opportunity. Your thoughts on that? And also, do you buy into the fact that 60 minutes in Buffalo last year was all the experience they needed to take a huge next step this season?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it Sean Payton can use that as, hey, fellas, we got to be on our A game. We can't just be happy to be here. And you could tell from the reaction of the players last year after they beat the Chiefs in the JV game versus after they beat the Chargers this year in the JV game. I mean, Garrett Bowles, and I'm not blaming him for this because he's been here for a lot of bad seasons. So I can see why he's excited that they won. They got that 7 seed. They got into the playoffs. He's running around with the Broncos flag, like they just advanced to the Super Bowl. They weren't doing that nonsense this year when they beat the Chargers to earn the 1 seed. They were happy. They were excited about it. But you could tell it was just a team that realized, okay, now the real games start, and we just beat a team that didn't have their best guys out there, so let's not get carried away. So I certainly think that was what was going on last year. And, yeah, I'm a little bit with Sean in terms of playoff experience. I mean, Aaron Rodgers had a ton of playoff experience. How'd he look on Monday, right? Justin Herbert had more playoff experience than Drake May, and he was getting harassed all night and didn't look particularly good. Caleb Williams doesn't have a lot of playoff experience, and he looked pretty darn good in the second half of the Bears. So, you're probably a little more nervous before the game starts. Maybe that first series you've still got some butterflies, but at the end of the day, it's, if you're still nervous because it's playoff time in the third quarter, I don't think you're the type of guy that gets to this level. So, yeah, I'm a little bit with Sean on the playoff experience as a myth thing.
All right, and then I asked you too many questions, but your thoughts on the colossal disappointment if you do lose at home as the 1 seed, and then also just for cheeriness, why don't you give us a prediction on your way out the door?
All right, I am with you. If they lose, it is a colossal disappointment. They're at home this week, and if they win, they're at home next week, and then they're going to the Super Bowl. They are in the HOV lane, and, yeah, there's maybe a little traffic in front of them, but not like the suckers that are stuck over in the right lane. So, yeah, if you blow this opportunity, you don't know when it's coming around again, right? We talk about Josh Allen and, hey, there's no Burrow, and there's no Mahomes, and there's no Lamar. Well, the Broncos got that situation too. They got the 1 seed, and they don't have to deal with any of those guys. You may not ever have a better opportunity with this group to get to the Super Bowl, so not taking advantage of it would be a huge, huge, huge disappointment. Unfortunately, I think that's what's going to happen. I think it's Buffalo 27, Denver 17 on Saturday afternoon.
All right, I appreciate the prediction. I as soon as I asked that, I go, I don't know if we are going to end on a cheery note. How about Nikola Jokic, James? Reports are ahead of schedule. Could be back here in a couple weeks.
That's fantastic. I mean, I heard you mention it the other day. Like, he came walking into the arena like the day or two after his injury and seemed fine. So I think the Nuggets just slap this 4 weeks and then we'll evaluate him thing on there just so they don't get asked about it every single day.
Yeah.
Because every injury can't be the same, but we get the same report on every single injury. We'll look back at it. I mean, AG, CB, Jokic, every single
Cam
guy
Johnson, Jonas Valanciunas. Yeah, the list goes
right
on. Yep.
All 5 of them. We'll check back in 4 weeks. So let's hope that's the case. They've done a really nice job of keeping their head above water, but that can only last so long. So got to get the big fella back. And, yeah, that was a bit of good news today for sure.
Look at that. Really nice job for the Nuggets. That's a perfect place to leave it, James. Appreciate your time, man.
All right, man. Always a good time.
All right, there he goes, James Marilat, our editor at DenverSports.com, clocking in the Bills, 27-17. I could see it. I could also see the Broncos winning this football game. And if they're going to win it, they do have to stop Josh Allen. Coming up next, Vance Joseph, some interesting comments on the Bills QB. You will hear them on the other side.
Does Sean Payton have a few tricks up his sleeve for the Buffalo Bills?
It is time for you to pull out the bag of tricks. It's time for you to show Buffalo something that they hadn't seen all season long, and even going back to last year with Bo Nix. There are plays, and I believe it's Marvin Mims plays, that you can put out there for the Broncos that Buffalo hasn't seen, and it's to your advantage to do that this week.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
Hi, Dan Cicchini with Dunright. Great pricing options and bank financing? You bet. Kitchens, baths, counters, and floors, finished basements, windows, and doors. Done right since 1985. You have our word, we'll treat you right at Dunright. Visit drhi.com. Thanks.
Hey, it's Mike Evans. How about a New Year's resolution where the commitment takes just one day and yet the results last a lifetime? Address years of hair loss like I did with Dr. Tanya Pauls and Advanced Hair's simple one-day treatment using your own natural hair. Advanced Hair restores your bald spot, receding hairline, or thinning, and they guarantee your new hair will grow for life. Celebrate the new year with a free consultation, $250 off, and 250 free hair grafts. Call 720-459-HAIR or advancedhair.com.
Are you one of those people who dread going to the dentist? If so, have you tried sedation dentistry? Learn more about sedation dentistry at coloradosedation.com. Sit back, relax, and dream with the most experienced sedation dentist and staff at Clarkson Dental.
The right financial strategies can make a huge difference, especially if you're nearing retirement. Adam Mueller talks retirement strategies with Mile High Money. Saturday mornings at 8 on Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
Hey guys, believe it or not, golf season is just around the corner, and that means the newest gear and the latest tech are starting to drop. It's Stoke here from my friends at Embers Golf. If you want to hit the ground running in 2026, now's the time to get dialed in. Book a custom fitting at Embers Golf and experience the newest equipment built to elevate your game. I know, trust me, I got set up last year, and spots fill up fast. So get in, get fit, and get ready to play your best season yet. Get everyone in the family ready for golf season at Embers Golf in Westminster. Embers Golf, ignite your game.
Hey Broncos country, it's Terrell Davis here. It's a new year. It's time to work on a new you.
At Fitness Gallery, we have deals everywhere, up to 50% off. Visit one of Fitness Gallery's 7 convenient locations from Colorado Springs to Fort Collins. We have you covered.
HelloFresh makes home cooking nutritious, delicious, and exciting. You excited when you get those freezer-burnt, pre-packaged meals in the mail? I know I'm not. Go to HelloFresh.com to explore plans and menus because nothing hits like home cooking.
Matthews Fine Watches and Jewelry is Colorado's largest watch repair center. Hi, I'm Scott Matthew. We service all major brands. Factory authorized for Tag Heuer, Cartier, Omega, Breitling, Panerai, and IWC. We service Rolex and many more. Our on-site watchmakers are Wolfstep, SADA, and CW21 Swiss certified. With up-to-date factory training, our watchmakers can handle any of your watch repair needs. Matthews, we have time for you.
Matthews Fine Watches and Jewelry in the Highlands Ranch Town Center and online at MatthewsFineWatches.com.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
You're still grooving, still connecting, still loving, still turning up, still thriving. You still got it, but your immune system, it weakens as you age. That's where vaccines come in. They help train and strengthen your immune response to fight off respiratory illnesses like flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, or COVID-19. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Book in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Men, it's the new year, and for many of us, it's a time of deciding to make positive changes in our lives. This is Jeff for the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic, and if you're suffering with erectile dysfunction and are tired of the frustration and embarrassment ED causes, you should call the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic today, because there probably isn't a better resolution you can make than to be done with ED. You see, ED doesn't just affect you, it can also affect your partner, even if they don't talk about it. But here's some great news. If you're like most guys, the treatments at the Rocky Mountain Men's Clinic will give you back your sex life, because our protocols have success rates that work in well over 90% of cases. Seriously, you might even find you're performing like you haven't in years. So, make an appointment and get ED out of your life. Your initial visit is only $99 and includes blood work, a medical consult, and if medically advised, a test dose. And if that test dose doesn't work in the office, your visit is free. Call 720-440-7900 or go to RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. That's RockyMountainMen'sClinic.com. We have 5 offices across the Front Range to serve you.
I'm Rob Wilhite of the Wilhite Law Firm. A lot of new firms aren't even from Colorado, but we are. For 47 years, we've known Colorado law, we fought for our neighbors, and we won for our community. If you've been injured, call 303-GOOD-LAW.
It's Denver Sports Tonight on Denver Sports Station, 104.3 The Fan.
Appreciate James Merrillat joining us. Good insight on what to expect on Saturday between the Broncos and Bills. Divisional round looms. The NFL's version of the Elite Eight. Certainly the furthest the Broncos have been in the playoffs since they won the Super Bowl after the 2015 season. Want to bring in my guy, Dante Gomez. And Dante, let's start with this. Clearly, Josh Allen is the best, most scariest, whatever player on the field at Empower this Saturday. Who, in your eyes, is the second best? I was pondering this question yesterday, and I wanted to get your take on it. I don't think we need to waste our breath on who's the best. We all know it's Josh Allen. But either team, who's the second best player in this football game?
That's a great question.
There's a lot of candidates.
Do you have someone in mind? Do you want to go first?
I do. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I thought about James Cook just because of what he did to the Broncos in the playoffs last year.
Led the league in rushing this year as well.
Correct. Just a beast, a monster. Anyone who had him in fantasy reaped the rewards of his efforts week in and week out. But I think that would be disrespectful to the Denver Broncos defense just because it is, by a lot of metrics, the best team in the league. Some have them behind Houston, second best. Regardless, they're a top 3 defense in the NFL. So I think it's got to be someone from the Broncos defense. And, yeah, there's a lot of candidates. I did ultimately settle on Pat Surtain. I don't think that's a cop-out. He's the reigning defensive player of the year. But to me, he will be the second best player to suit up here in a couple of days.
Yeah, in the middle of you answering the question, I also got to Patrick Surtain there. So I don't know if he'll be the second most impactful player during the game because I think that's 2 different questions.
Correct.
Best and most impactful because, and you and James got into it, the Bills don't really have a number 1 receiver that scares the bejesus out of you. And if you want to go with Khalil Shakir, he actually is not the type of receiver that Patrick Surtain matches up super well with. He's smaller, he's shiftier, gets a lot of screen passes. Patrick Surtain, his special superpowers are better when it's a bigger receiver, like a DK Metcalf, a down the field receiver, and those kind of guys. So I don't know if Shakir is going to, or if Patrick Surtain's going to necessarily be the kryptonite that for Shakir. I liked your idea of maybe throwing him on one of the tight ends, Knox or Kincaid, because Josh Allen loves going to his tight ends, and they've been really solid for him throughout this season and the years past too. So I like that idea. If I was the Broncos defensive coordinator, I would try to take Kincaid completely out of the game, make those wide receivers who are mostly unproven go out and try to beat you. I think another good option, I think Garrett Bowles, that left tackle, got hobbled in that Chargers game, so we'll see what version of him we get, but I think he's just been so steady on that left side of the offensive line for the Broncos, so I'd also throw his name in the mix.
Yeah, no, it's one that's not the sexiest of picks, but it's valid, all pro this year. Broncos certainly paid him when they had to pay him, and they were smart to pay him. I still remember being there that day when Garrett was at the podium going, yeah, have them call my people. It's like, whoa, okay, he's openly campaigning for a new deal. He obviously got the new deal. It's been well worth it. Garrett Bowles has been great this year. And you bring up most impactful. Well, I think we all hope who's the most impactful. How'd the Broncos win a Super Bowl 10 years ago? Their edge rusher was the most impactful guy on the field in Von Miller, and we're hoping Nick Bonito can sort of have a Superman-esque run during these 3 games. But I want to get to Vance Joseph because with the knowledge that Josh Allen is the best, I thought VJ gave a very good and kind of telling answer on the Bills QB today at the podium.
He's a special player, obviously. It's certain guys in this league that can take over games, and he's one of those guys. But we knew to win the championship here, it was going to go through Patrick and Lamar and Josh, and Joe Burrow. That's the AFC side, unfortunately. That's where we live. So we knew we got to face one of those guys eventually. So watching Pittsburgh and Baltimore last week, I was cheering for Pittsburgh because I knew that Lamar can wreck your dreams, and so can Josh. So that's part of it. If you're going to win the AFC side, it's going through those 4 guys, and it's our turn.
I mean, so much to unpack there, but Lamar can wreck your dreams, and so can Josh. And that's what Josh definitely has the chance to do this weekend, is wreck the dreams of everyone in that building, all Broncos fans across Denver, Colorado, and the Rocky Mountain region. This one man can rip all our dreams out of a Super Bowl. But also, and Dante, I want your reaction to the soundbite because there's a lot in there, but a defensive coordinator in the league telling us about an open rooting interest for the AFC North 10 days ago. He was cheering for Pittsburgh in that game. He wasn't talking about Pittsburgh-Houston. He was talking about Steelers-Ravens because Lamar can wreck your dreams, and he wanted him out of the playoffs. Good stuff there from Vance Joseph.
And I think it's really telling for the perspective that a defensive coordinator has when going against these other quarterbacks in the AFC that, I'm probably in the same belief as Vance Joseph here, I'd rather have a guy that I know what I'm going to get out of him. I know that he's going to be in the pocket and he's going to try to dissect me from there versus a guy that can play off script like Josh Allen, like Lamar Jackson. I think that's when it gets really muddy as a defensive coordinator. When you're asking guys to defend the other team for 5, 7, 10 seconds during a play. And we had James Palmer on the drive yesterday. He kind of echoed the same sentiment as you can do everything right, but Josh Allen gets out of the pocket and makes an all-time play on you, and there's just nothing you can do as the defense. So I think that's the train of thought that Vance Joseph had when saying that a guy like Lamar Jackson, a guy like Josh Allen, can wreck your dreams?
Can wreck your dreams.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's speaking to, is these guys are so good off script that as a defensive coordinator, sometimes you're like, you have to put your hands up and say, I don't know what we could have done better in that situation.
Yeah, and also, how about him mentioning, that's the reality in the AFC. You got to go through Patrick, Lamar, Josh, and Joe. That's where we live, direct quote from Vance Joseph, so we knew we'd have to face one of those guys eventually. Again, a defensive coordinator admitting that winning this conference the last 6, 7, 8 years has been a near impossible task if one of those 4 guys wasn't your quarterback. So much so that no one's won the conference except teams with those quarterbacks. And Lamar and Josh haven't even done it. It's been all Patrick Mahomes and then Joe Burrow that one year. I think there's going to be a changing of the guard. I don't think we're there yet because I think that would be very disrespectful to what Mahomes and Burrow and Lamar all have left in the tank, and Josh Allen as well. but it feels like maybe there can start be a changing of the guard if you knock out Josh and guarantee that either Bo Nix, Drake May, or CJ Stroud is playing in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are three of the younger quarterbacks. I think all of them are under 25 at this point. So it would certainly represent a changing of the guard, and it's not the normal guys that you're used to seeing in conference championship weekend. So I think that is what's coming. But to me, it's not necessarily a changing of the guard that those guys are done, but it's just more open. It's a more open playing field that, next year it could be Josh Allen. The following year after that could be Patrick Mahomes. But then the following year after that, it could be Drake May. It could be Bo Nix in the mix. I think you're just adding guys to the mix and who can win the conference versus the same two guys that we've seen do it. And it's really just been the same one guy for the most part.
Yeah, it's really just been Mahomes that other than that year Burrow got him. But it's funny, you said they're all under 25. I did some quick research. Bo is 25 exactly. He's the oldest of the three. CJ Stroud is 24 and Drake May is 23. So
it's actually kind of a fun question, which obviously it's a very leading question I'm about to ask you. But who do you think's older, Bo Nix or Trevor Lawrence?
Bo Nix.
It is Bo Nix, just slightly. But the fact that Trevor Lawrence has been in the league for, 4 years now?
Yeah.
It's just one of those funny, obviously Bo Nix stayed in college a little longer, but Trevor Lawrence already 2 playoff appearances now.
Mm-hmm. And, if you're Trevor, you've got more NFL games under your belt. But Bo's been open about, I played in some big-time college games year after year after year between Auburn and Oregon. So I think people, and I'm not saying you're doing it, I'm just saying the royal you, I think people want to say, well, Bo doesn't have experience. Bo doesn't have experience. He's in his second year in the NFL. He's played in a playoff game, and he's played in a ton of college games. Yeah, it's not AFC title game experience, but let's not act like Bo is some 22-year-old who just for the first time got the right to order a beer at dinner.
I actually meant it in the opposite fashion of not that he doesn't have experience, that my expectations for him are actually higher.
Okay.
That he's a little bit older, that he played a lot of college football. He's played in big games before, Pac-12 championships. So I actually think that it's the reverse, in my case at least, that I have higher expectations. I expect him to go out there in the moment, not be too big for him, given the experience he has.
Yeah, no, I like that. And he's played on some massive stages. There's no question that Saturday will be the biggest one he has ever played on with an AFC title game berth on the line. All right, so much more Broncos news and notes to get to, but also the Nuggets and the Avalanche, both in really interesting times, and we will hit on each team next.
As the top seed in the AFC, are the Broncos being shown enough respect?
This team can play with anyone. They can play with anyone. So we can't forget this is a 14-3 football team also. So I think some people have forgotten that. But I'm fired up, and I like this team, and I like their chances this week.
Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan.
You gave years, maybe decades to your job. You showed up, worked hard, and planned for retirement. But now, the company's changed. Or maybe you've taken a buyout or been forced into early retirement. So, what happens next? I'm Jeff Jr., founder of Trajan Wealth. And if you've built up a 401k or thrift savings plan, now is the time to ask, is that money really working for you? Many workplace retirement plans offer limited options and even less guidance. At Trajan Wealth, we help people just like you roll over their accounts into IRAs with more flexibility and personalized investment strategies built around your goals. For households with $500,000 or more, let us build you a personalized plan. We operate on veteran values, service, trust, and doing what's right. Your next chapter starts now. Call Trajan today, 720-204-8100. That's 720-204-8100.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. See website for details.
If you're one of the millions of Americans behind on your taxes, if you're afraid to open your mail because IRS collection letters could be coming, listen carefully. The IRS is cracking down, taking paychecks, freezing bank accounts, revoking passports. That's a fact. But here's what most people don't know. There are official tax relief programs designed to help struggling taxpayers. Programs that could save you thousands if you qualify. No one knows these programs better than the experts at Optima Tax Relief. Optima's award-winning team will fight to protect your paycheck, your passport, and your property. Their tax attorneys and licensed tax professionals will work tirelessly to get you the best deal possible with the IRS. Every day, penalties and interest keep piling up, so don't wait. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-783-8055. That's 800-783-8055. 800-783-8055.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Still haven't filed your taxes? You're not alone, but the longer you wait, the harder the IRS can hit back. Penalties, interest, letters, none of it goes away on its own. At Advanced Tax Solutions, resolving IRS problems is all they do. Whether you're a year behind or 10, their licensed tax professionals can step in fast, stop the stress, and help you get back on track. Don't let another day slip by. A quick call could mean a quick resolution. Contact my friends at Advanced Tax Solutions today and take control of your tax situation before the IRS does.
Happy New Year, Susan. I really appreciate you picking up the bill for lunch.
I'm happy to. One of my New Year's resolutions is being better with money. So I've started using Upside, the free app that pays you cash back for buying gas.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Upside app?
Yes, I earn cash back just for buying the gas I was already buying.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make $200 to $300 this year.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play and start earning cash back on everyday gas purchases. Use promo code RIDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents per gallon on your next fill up. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank account or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code RIDER for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code RIDER. Code RIDER. Offers vary by user and location. Go to upside.com for terms and conditions.
Dan Jacobs with 303 Law 4040. Hey, I got a real cool story I wanted to share with you. Many years ago, my lovely wife Kimberly wrote down a prayer that said, God, make me a lighthouse so I can be a light to others when they're in a dark place. She filed that card away both in her heart and her prayer box. And then about 3 years ago, I asked my wife to leave her job in corporate America and come help me open up 303 Law 4040. And she absolutely loves it. She really feels like helping other people when they are hurting and don't know what to do is her calling. So here's the really cool part. A few weeks ago, a client came in to pick up a check and said to Kim, I really want to thank you. You were a lighthouse to me when I was in a dark place. It gave me chills when Kim told me that. If you've been hurt in an accident, it really is our honor to help you in your time of need. Call us anytime at 303 Law 4040, where you always get to speak directly with me or my lovely wife, Kimberly. That's 303 Law 4040. Go ahead, save that number in your phone. You never know when you're going to need it. It's 303 Law 4040.
Hey guys, Mark Schlereth here from my friends at Spine One. Let me ask you a question. You live with back pain, neck pain. Well, my guys at Spine One, they're an emergency room for back pain with same-day appointments. They'll see you and they'll get the journey started. And that's exactly what I did. Whether it's chronic pain, acute pain, work-related, sports-related, doesn't matter. All you got to do is pick up the phone and start your journey just like I did toward pain-free. 303-367-2225. That's 303-367-BACK. Or as always, you can find them online at SpineOne.com.
Stay up to date on the Broncos with our 9 News Broncos insider Mike Kliss. Presented by Fitness Gallery. Hear the latest from every practice and every game every single week during football season. Denver Sports 104.3. The Fan. Denver Sports Station 104.3 The Fan presents Denver Sports Tonight.
All right, little house cleaning. Trevor Lawrence is indeed 1 year older than Bo Nix. He's 26. Bo is 25. Appreciate Derek and Castle Rock and others pointing that out. Trevor Lawrence just completed his fifth full season in the NFL. Bo completed year 2. Hopefully has 3 more games left. But Trevor, 5 years in the league, 1 year older than Bo. Bo, year 2. As we outlined, no big deal that he stayed in college a long time. Other guys have different paths, and Bo's just involved more college than a guy like Trevor Lawrence. Some good text coming in as well, and this one's my favorite that I've seen here in the last 10 minutes or so from the 2985. Vance Joseph has a great opportunity. If he wants to be a head coach next season, he needs to beat up Josh Allen. I think that actually is pretty succinct, Dante. We know VJ's doing all these interviews. Got 5-6 teams interested. Pittsburgh could call. We're not sure yet. Could go up to 7. But his stock if they knock off Josh Allen, it's going to be at an all-time high. If Allen goes out there on Saturday and the Bills score 31 points, Titans, Cardinals, Giants, they might say, we're going to go a different direction. Does feel like a huge fork in the road game for Vance Joseph. Maybe that final test to get his next head coaching job.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't even think about it that way, but no, that's a great point. Of can you go out and do it against the reigning MVP, a top quarterback in the NFL? Because we've seen this defense not look as good in the last month or so against actual starting quarterbacks. I'm not going to count the Chiefs and Chargers game, but that Jacksonville game, that Green Bay game, I know they won the Green Bay game, but Jordan Love was able to move the ball decently
Bad 2.5 quarters. They really picked it up late in the third quarter and into the fourth quarter of that game.
Correct. But either way, I think it's fair to have some questions about Vance Joseph's defense against top quarterbacks in the NFL. So this would be a big prove-it game for him.
Yeah, it'd be a huge gold star for those franchises that are really considering giving him the gig. And for those that are kind of on the fringe on VJ, it could be a reason to just rule him out if the Broncos get eliminated and Josh has a big game. All right, Nuggets and Avs also playing very well right now at this moment in time. And let's start with the Nuggets because we got some really good news from Shams Charania of ESPN today that Nikola Jokic is ahead of schedule in his rehab progression. Really going to be 4 weeks when it's all said and done, end of January. So you're looking at 13-ish more days. I think most people are circling maybe the 27th, 28th type of return for Nikola. Dante, we knew that Nikola Jokic wanted to get back on the court. Sometimes your body doesn't cooperate. But I think this says even more about him now that he's not going to milk this timeline at all. The second he's ready, he's going to be back in uniform for the Nuggets.
Yeah, he's a hard worker, and I can't remember the exact quote, but it was about, Zach has said it a handful of times on our show, about how, Serbians go to work. And someone asked him about the taking time off, not taking time off necessarily, but the, what is it called when you rest games?
Load management.
Load management, yeah. Someone asked him about load management, and he said that doesn't exist in Serbia. We're hard workers. So I always assumed he had that mindset about it, so it's no surprise to me that he's working as hard as he can to get back out there on the court.
Yeah, and he's not just going to say, I'll just sit out the All-Star break and forget my MVP. I won't play 65 games. I won't be eligible. If he gets back, there's a real path for him to play 67, 68 basketball games this year, which would make him eligible for yet another All-NBA team, which he gets every year, and, of course, a fourth MVP. Some would argue it should be his sixth in a row. I would raise my hand on that, but it would be his fourth in 6 years. All right, Avalanche today. Mackenzie Blackwood activated from injured reserve. The goalie situation finally looks to be back on track. Blackwood, Wedgwood, Blackwood will be the starter and the backup almost certainly against the Predators on Friday night. We know Landeskog's still out. We know Taze is still out. But it really does feel like health could be the only thing that could derail this Avs team. So to get both goalie backs comfortably before the Olympic break, Wedgwood missed the last 2 games. He was technically backing up, but something wasn't quite right. Just checking another box, another step for the Avs on their way to perhaps the greatest regular season in NHL history.
Yeah, the health, you mentioned, it could be the only thing that could derail this team at this point. But even with the injuries that they've sustained the last couple of weeks here, they're still far and away that 1 seed. So this team's built to deal with injuries, and they have the depth to be able to deal with that. So I'm not too worried about the injuries that they've sustained. And I think they're still well on their way of going out and winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, and with the Avs, too, I think it's kind of how we all feel about the Nuggets. Just don't give me any season enders, right? Like, if a guy's going to miss a month, no one wants to hear a month. But with both these teams, yeah, the regular seasons are fun, and I've been a proponent of enjoy the ride, specifically with the Avs, because they may win more games or obtain more points than any team in the history of the league. So we should enjoy the ride. But at the same time, as long as guys aren't out for the year, I don't want to see a month. No one wants to see a month. But come April, May, June, are you going to be thinking about, remember that month Landeskog missed? Remember that month Jokic missed? No, unless it really jacks up their seeding, that's not the thing. And for both teams right now, they don't have, and we're knocking on all the wood, they don't have a season-ending injury that's super significant, and we're obviously hoping to keep it that way before the playoffs get going.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on. As long as it's not season-ending, I trust both teams to be able to go out and get it done in the playoffs, particularly the Avs. I think they can go out and get it done even with maybe a season ender or two. That's how good that team is.
Yeah, it would depend on who, and I don't even want to speculate on
exactly.
who.
I don't even want to go there.
Don't even want to put it in the universe, but I'm with you that they are so deep. I mean, they are certainly the deepest they've been since they won the whole thing in 2022. All right, Broncos and Bills. It's getting closer by the day. We'll do it again tomorrow night. We'll hear from Sean Payton again tomorrow, his final press conference of the week. Should be interesting. For James Marilat and Dante Gomez, I'm Will Peterson. It's DST on the Fan.
Tune into The Rundown with Richie Carney every weekday at noon on YouTube, Facebook, or X. Presented in part by The Birdie Bar, Louisville's premier indoor golf bar experience. Check out this week's live music, trivia, and other fantastic events at thebirdie.bar on the web and Instagram. Denver Sports 104.3 The Fan.
Let me ask you something. Is your money doing everything it can for you?
I don't know.